Hello, everyone. You've tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. Welcome. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indiana State Police Public Information Office. We want to thank the Indiana State Police Alliance and the Indiana State Police Cops for Kids, subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance, for their continued support for the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I want to thank Tom Trial behind me, who is with me each and every week where the Indiana State Police Roadshow, and putting us on YouTube. So make sure you go to our Indiana State Police YouTube site to watch these shows that Tom puts on there each and every week. And my guest today is somebody that's been with me quite a few times, but we got the Construction Zone Awareness Week coming up, and a lot of construction that's going to take off and go again. Nathan Riggs from INDOT. Thank you, Nathan, for being here. I appreciate you being here today.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
We are jumping in full bore, and let's back up a little bit here maybe, and you can tell us a little bit. Winter was great, wasn't it?
We did have a mild winter. We didn't have a lot of snow to plow off the roads.
Yeah.
But the thing about winter is it's not the cold or
Right.
the snow that takes its toll on the pavement. It's that freeze and thaw cycle, and we had a lot of ice. We spent much of the winter hovering right around that freezing mark.
Right.
Nearly every day we had a freeze-thaw cycle, and some of those were really drastic, going from teens and 20s up to 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And that does take its toll, so we've got a lot of work to do this year.
So if you guys, I know we've talked about this before, cold patching, warm patching. Are you still in the cold patching stage? And maybe talk about that a little bit, what you guys are doing?
We're getting there.
Okay.
We've got the peaks in the valley, so we're still in those cycles of freeze and thaws. But here we are, late March. This is about the time when hot mix plants are firing up and contractors are itching to get started on a lot of those projects that we've awarded so far this year.
Okay. So a lot of times, and tell me a little bit about this, I see people out there that ask me sometimes, what are these guys doing out there on the roadways when they've got it blocked and they've got the air compressors blown out there and then they got looks like liquid tar almost. What are they doing at that point?
Well, they could be either pothole patching or crack sealing.
Okay.
Which either repairing potholes, so we want to clean out the hole and get that mix in there. Sometimes they'll put some tack in there, just depending on what treatment they're doing. But they're also sealing cracks. We've got some chip sealing operations also. And all that's about preservation, taking care of our roads, making sure that they're in as good a shape as possible for as long as possible to maximize the life and, get the best value for the roadway for the taxpayer and kind of put off that full depth reconstruction for as long as possible.
And the sealing, I'm sure, is a preventative measure to keep that water from seeping down in the ground. And when it freezes, it breaks it open.
Right. That freeze and thaw cycle I talked about, if we can keep the water from permeating down into the roadway, that freeze and thaw cycle is less destructive. So, when water freezes, it expands, and if that water is down below the road, it pushes up on the pavement and can create a void. And then when the traffic drives over it and beats it up, it creates potholes.
Yeah.
So if we can seal up that pavement and keep the water out, it preserves it.
Good. Well, again, if you see somebody out there, if you see the workers out there, of course, give them the room, slow down, let them work, and they're trying to keep the roads in good shape for the traveling public, so make sure that you be careful around them. And that's what we want to talk about here while we're here this week. Work Zone Awareness Week is coming up.
Right, first week of April, April 3rd through the 7th is Work Zone Awareness Week. We've got a lot of campaigns coming out with the number of projects, not just construction, but a lot of those preservation initiatives, the maintenance and repair of the highways. We've got the established work zones that people may come to expect and recognize as they're driving on their daily commutes. They see the signs. But then we've got our maintenance crews out there as well that may only be there for one day, and they're working in different areas every day. So this time of year, it's just an important reminder for people that they're going to be seeing people wearing stuff like this, wearing hard hats, orange barrels, orange cones. It's just that time of year in places like Indiana where we have limited seasons to do the work. We have to get all of it done before winter comes again. So we've got a lot of work to do, and just keep an eye out for the warning signs and the people out there doing the work. They're out there to keep the roads and bridges smooth and safe for people like us that drive on the roads.
And it's not just INDOT. You guys partnership with a lot of private companies, contractors that you guys utilize also.
Right. For a lot of the highway maintenance, we use our in-house crews, but for most of the construction contracts, we bid that work out to private companies that do the work for us.
Now, the Work Zone Awareness Week that you have coming up, do you have anything special that you're doing for that week?
We'll be on social media, so if I can plug our INDOT main accounts, as well as I work for the East Central District, which is the East Central, 6th of the state. That's INDOTEAST on Twitter and INDOTEASTCENTRAL on Facebook. That includes Indianapolis and up to Kokomo and then across over to Ohio. So we'll be putting lots of safety messages on social media. We've got an event coming up that'll be April 4th at our Traffic Management Center that we share the facility with the Indiana State Police, Post 52. That'll be at 11 a.m. on April 4th. We'll be pulling a lot of our partners together and focusing on the national theme this year is Work Zone Safety is in your hands. Just highlighting that Work Zone Safety is in the hands of the drivers.
Absolutely.
There's an element of personal responsibility for everybody driving through the work zones to make smart, safe decisions, and then that element of safety resounds for the safety of the workers, the motorists, everybody in those work zones.
Everyone involved.
We're all in it together, basically. But it all starts with one, us and our contractors making sure that the work zones are set up properly and safely, and then everybody traveling through those work zones making smart, safe decisions behind the wheel.
Well, I know when you hear that, the work zone safety, is in your hands. It makes me think of maybe your hands should be containing that steering wheel and not a electronic device or a sandwich or a drink or something. When you're traveling through those areas, you need to have total 100% concentration on what you're doing.
Right. Really, when you're behind the wheel, the only thing that should be in your hand is the steering wheel.
Right.
And that should be the only thing on your mind. And that can be difficult in this, the society and the culture that we live in. But I think it's important, and that's part of why we do this every year, is to grab people's attention as these road workers are starting out to do their jobs. Everybody really needs to just take a moment or continuously think about their own behaviors. Everybody seems to think that they're a great driver. Mm-hmm. And I think we can all say that none of us are flawless. We can all take time to reflect on our own driving behaviors and make improvements. And that could be using mobile devices. That could be eating behind the wheel. There's so many things that people are doing other than just driving that could potentially be catastrophic. And especially in these work zones when there's so many things that could go on, shifting traffic lanes, workers, equipment, there's really no room for error.
And unfortunately, Indiana's and INDOT and the contractors that work with INDOT have not been spared from this tragic things that happen when people don't pay attention, have they?
No. We have had workers killed. Just this past year, we've had I believe 3 come to mind that would qualify as work zone fatalities. We had one up north, and then we had 2 just recently that were hit by a truck on State Road 37 doing some survey work. So it wasn't a construction zone, but they were still working, doing their job to do some survey work for a construction project on 37, and they were hit. In recent years, some years we've been fortunate where we don't have those tragedies, but it's anything like that is far too common, and it's all preventable.
And it's not always the worker; it could be the person driving that gets injured.
So
also,
if people don't want to consider the safety of other people, a good statistic is that 80% nationwide, on average, of work zone crash fatalities are actually the motorists, the drivers and their passengers, not the workers. Yeah. So most of the time when these crashes happen in work zones, it's the drivers and the passengers that are most affected. But of course, we're interested in everybody's safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it starts with the drivers, but of course the workers are innocent. And I'll also say that just because you crash in a work zone doesn't mean it's your fault.
Right.
So when you're driving through these zones, it's also important to keep a safe following distance, keep a safe distance from other people, because you don't know the mistakes that other people might make as well. So again, we're all in this together. So it just takes making smart, safe choices.
Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids, subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. I've got my guest with me today is Nathan Riggs with the INDOT Public Information section of INDOT and media extraordinaire. We are talking about the upcoming Work Zone Awareness Week media event that's happening Tuesday, April the 4th, 11 a.m. Open to the public, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll be sending out an invite maybe today, but definitely by early next week to let people know. We certainly want to invite industry professionals, people that are working in the industry.
Yeah.
But anybody that wants to lend their support is more than welcome. We'd be happy to have them.
And that'll be taking place at the Indianapolis Traffic Management Center there at the 8620 East 21st Street, Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's right off I-70, Post Road exit. If you go south to 21st and go west, which would be hanging a right, it's just a couple blocks down. You'll see the signs.
And you guys usually have a pretty good array of different equipment that you utilize. Is that going to be the same this year?
Yeah, we're inviting everyone to kind of come and show their part. In addition to the Work Zone Safety, It's in Your Hands national theme, Indiana's really also highlighting the Move Over law and inviting a lot of our partners. The Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter will be there speaking.
Absolutely.
We're also inviting our INDOT crews will be there to be represented. Really everybody that has a stake in that Move Over law, from the emergency responders to tow trucks, utility service professionals, all of those flashing emergency lights that you see on the shoulder or sometimes in the lanes are covered by that law. And we want to bring that to people's attention too, because when while the focus is work zone safety, when incidents do happen on the roads, those roads become work zones for people like the emergency responders and utility service crews. And
when they're out there working, they need that room to work, and just moving over or slowing your speed down can help out tremendously for their safety and for the safety of the traveling public going through that area that you're doing. I was looking a little bit of the information that you brought in today that you guys are going to be doing a lot of work here in 2017, aren't you?
Absolutely. And that's nothing new. We've been doing lots of work really ever since the Major Moves program started more than 10 years ago. We're making record investments, not just in improvements, but in preservation.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that the roads and bridges that we have are kept in good shape for as long as possible. So we'll be doing a lot of paving projects, a lot of bridge preservation projects, things like deck overlays that seals that concrete, puts in new joints, and helps keep the elements out. That water just wreaks havoc on roads and bridges. So, but we need rain too.
Yeah.
So, but we're doing what we can to take care of what we have. And then also we're doing a lot of safety and mobility improvements at the same time, as well as projects that we intend to have improvements to economic development. So lots of different targeted initiatives, but we're going to be doing more than $1 billion worth of capital improvement projects in Indiana. Those are on interstates, U.S. highways, and state roads, in addition to funds that we provide for local counties and cities and towns to make improvements on their roads and bridges as well. So it's not just us doing the work. Local governments also have roads and bridges that they need to preserve, maintain, and improve.
And I saw here a little bit you guys are going to be doing more than 500 lane miles of roadways, chip and seal. Talk a little bit about that, your chip and seal project. That's a little different from the actual paving project, right?
Right. So chip and seal is really a preservation project that we target for low traffic volume roadways, and it's very cost effective. It basically seals the existing pavement and provides a layer of traction with the stone chips to, again, seal and preserve the existing roadway. We want to keep those roads in as good shape as possible for as long as possible. But some roads, it's expensive to pave a new surface on highways. Yeah. And so we want to target those projects for roads that have higher traffic volumes, and we use the chip and seal for roads that have lower traffic volumes, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's different treatments that we can apply, and so we use targeted treatments for specific roadways, and we try to do that in the most cost-effective way possible.
Well, Nathan, we have talked our time out. I appreciate you being in here today and bringing us this very informative information, especially for the construction season coming up. And we want everybody to be careful when they're out there traveling around Indiana's highways.
Absolutely. I would just recommend, if anybody's traveling this summer, check out indot.carsprogram.org. You'll see all of the INDOT traffic restrictions and construction zones on that map. And please slow down, pay attention behind the wheel. God, that's great information and great requirements of what they're doing.
You've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. We'll catch you again next week. Roadshow is out.